Hey guys, welcome back to MMA Library. Today in MMA and UFC news, George St. Pierre says he's ready to help Jake Paul's fighter union. In a recent interview, St. Pierre said, "It's not a question of if it should happen, it's a question of when it will happen. It will happen because it happened in boxing, it happened in basketball, in hockey, in all professional sports. In mixed martial arts, unfortunately, it's a young sport. It's still a new sport, not as new as it was 20 years ago, but it's still relatively young. Sooner or later it will happen. And a lot of people have tried to do it before, it failed. But sooner or later, it will happen because the conditions for the fighters, they can be improved by a lot. The salaries, all the assurances after their careers. A lot of guys, they have a lot of issues that are linked to brain damages and stuff like that. So I feel a lot for these guys. You only hear about the guys who make it, the Conor McGregor, Khabib, George St. Pierre. We made a lot of money, we left the sport healthy and good, but the truth is that most of these guys, 99.9% of the guys, it's a horror movie. It's a bad ending to their career, ending in a bad way. And I feel for these guys. And sooner or later, there will be a new union that will create kinds of programs to help a lot of the fighters. It will happen in MMA, it's just a question of time. And it needs to be done with the right people. I'm always going to do things that are for the fighters, that are right for the fighters. That's my thing. If the organization is done well, I'm willing to do anything to help the fighters." In a recent interview, Molly McCann reveals the advice she received from Conor McGregor on how to deal with fame. Here's the clip.
Did Conor send you a DM about advice on handling fame?
Yeah, he did, yeah. Met him, didn't I? And then we spoke a few times when I had a bevy in the Black Forge, obviously. And I messaged him going, how do you handle this? Because you can blow up and then you can blow up. And I just couldn't quite get my head around how sometimes people are with you. And he was just like, when you're in the gym, it's just the gym. Don't let no one else in. Keep everyone outside. Always remember it's just fighting. You're a cage warrior. That's what we are. We're cage warriors, champions. And he said some mad things about Valentina's going to get a max smack and all these kind. Like it was so poetic and it was so lovely. But my partner Ellis printed it off and put it in a sign in MSG. And it's in my front room. So every day, if I'm struggling or if I'm feeling good, but I don't need to get ahead of myself, get a big fat head and walk around with ego, it's to stay grounded and to realise that I'm just here to win. And the rest of it, the external, is me and Paul.
Israel Adesanya recently revealed he cried backstage after he was heavily criticized for his performance at UFC 276. Adesanya said, "I don't hold on to things, I let myself feel them. People try to deny things and block it. If you fight your emotions, they'll get you later on. So I feel it. I cried backstage. Me and Coach Eugene hugged it out and he told me, 'Don't worry, you'll be fine.' I was like, 'Just give me a bourbon, I'll be fine.' So I express it, feel it, and I let it go. It's a good way to release emotions, it relaxes you. It's just a normal human function. I don't know why we shame it. I was upset at myself for what I wanted to do, people mistake it. This is not about other people, this is about me. I did the Undertaker walk out, and I had this mentality like I'm going to make him wait because I don't think it's going to last long. Then I get in there and I'm a little bit frustrated during the fight, trying to figure out how to take this guy. I've said it many times, his corner, wow, MMA Lab is beautiful because they saved him. They'd see things that I was setting up and call it, and I'm just like, man, okay, they can see that coming. So they saved him a lot, and he's a good student for listening to them as well. For me, it was just the pressure I put on myself because it was International Fight Week. I'm like, I want to take this to the next level after I smoke this guy. And I felt like I didn't smoke this guy, but I beat him quite easily. So for me, it's the expectations I put on myself. It takes two to tango, so if you want to blame me, you've got to blame the other guy. Like I said, you look at the 5th round, how it went. I was pressing the action. I was trying to fight. I was always touching him. In a recent interview, Michael Chandler has come out and said he will be the one to beat Islam Makhachev. Here's the clip.
Islam is who he said he was, for sure. He is better than a lot of us thought he was. He's better than I gave him credit for. I stand corrected. I don't necessarily think I was speaking out of bounds by saying that we hadn't seen him fight a top 5 guy yet. He beat Bobby Green and then got a title shot after that. So it was like it left a little bit more to be desired to see him go through some guys. I honestly think my wrestling will stop his attacks. I think I can take him down. I think I can match him grappling for grappling. And I think in the striking department, I got more power, I'm faster, and I have better hands. That's me speaking confidently, obviously. A ton of respect for him, but I do think it's the most intriguing matchup in the lightweight division. There's not a better wrestler on the lightweight roster than me. My credentials speak for themselves. Being a Division I All-American is kind of the epitome of wrestling accomplishment. So I think I match up extremely well. I think I beat him, but that's what we all said. That's what Charles said. That's what I said about Charles. That's what. So hopefully we see that fight early 2023.
On the most recent episode of the Weighing In podcast, Big John and Josh discussed the return of Dan Hooker to the Octagon, where he will take on Claudio Puellas. Here's the clip.
This to me is going to be a good fight, but it's going to be a telltale fight for Dan Hooker against Claudio How do you say
Puellas.
Puellas. That's what I was looking for. John, I think that Puellas has the tools that he needs that works against Dan Hooker. His grappling, his transitions, his smoothness, the way he goes from the feet to the ground to the feet. He's a nasty, nasty young fighter who's coming up. And Dan Hooker's got an opportunity to start him on the feet, maybe do some ground and pound if he hits the ground and get out and away. Don't hang out on the ground with him too long, because we can see Puellas getting some great transitions into the submissions and keeping Dan stuck down there trying to avoid those submissions. That's not a place Dan Hooker wants to be. He needs to keep it on the feet, utilize his reach and his range. I don't know how much of an advantage he'll have in reach and range.
A little bit, not a ton.
I think possibly a little bit, but I think Puellas is the better, all-around fighter than Dan Hooker. But Dan Hooker's got the more extensive, high-level competition fights. So I'm gonna lean towards Puellas, though, just to be honest, because Dan's coming off how many losses? 5. Can you click on
out of his last,
5 in a row?
He had one in there.
Oh, he had a win on the.
And that was, but he was able to keep that as a stand-up fight because look at Hesprat. He likes to fight, in the same, position. Yeah. So I don't know. I look at this and I agree with you. I think that Puellas has got a very good chance.
What do you guys think about this matchup? Can Dan Hooker get back in the win column? Let us know your opinion in the comment section below. Dustin Poirier has recently admitted his frustration that he won't get to face off against Nate Diaz in the UFC, then goes on to speak about how he feels about going back to a 3-round fight. Here's the clip.
I know that fight with Nate Diaz was one you wanted for ages, and they kind of sort of teased you with it, and then it kept sort of disappearing. Now he's left the UFC. Is that going to be a regret that you never did, or did his fight against Tony sort of make you think, what, that's a fight I didn't really need?
No, I've always wanted to fight Nate. We tried to make it happen a few times. It always fell apart. It sucks that he's gone now, and I won't get that chance to fight him. But it is what it is. Sport moves on.
Dustin, back center here. This is going to be your first fight in 5 years that wasn't scheduled to be 5 rounds. Have you trained any differently, knowing that only have 15 minutes max to do this?
No, I trained the exact same way as I did for all those 5-round fights. Whenever I'm peaking and in the best condition I can get myself in, I'm ready to fight however many rounds there are. I train the same way in preparation.
And it being 3 rounds, do you think that benefits you or him more?
I think it benefits him for sure. I wanted it to be 5.
Israel Adesanya says that Pereira should have taken him out in Brazil because this time around things will be different.
You also posted a tweet. I think it was it had a video clip of Jigsaw from Saw, and obviously Jigsaw he kind of punishes people for stuff that they did in the past that they weren't aware of, or maybe am I just looking too much into that, or were you just using?
Well, it is now. Honestly, I don't, these themes for my fights, I don't plan them. They just come to me, and it's always just been my thing. So I guess, it makes sense. Honestly, it does. Like my tattoos, I just pick it because it looks cool, and then they reveal the significance of my life to me later on. So I'm just a vessel, and I listen to my ancestors or the above.
You also wrote #Law15, which is to crush your enemies totally. Is that so? Specifically on that, is this a different feeling for you leading up to this fight now when you push that out?
Yeah, 100%. Because crush your enemies totally. If you leave any sign of life, they'll come back for revenge. You should have killed me in Brazil, but now it's my time, and I'll crush him totally. Or maybe I'll just jab and leg kick him. We'll see.
Guys, thanks so much for checking out the video. If you like the content we do here on this channel, don't forget to like and subscribe to MMA Library for all the latest MMA and UFC news. We'll see you in the next video.